Hey guys, it's 𝗧𝗛𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗚 here, and welcome back to another build challenge. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, we have a very weird build challenge ahead of us. So today I will be taking a build from the world of Sulani and transforming it into a base game compatible lot. So this lot will no longer have any objects whatsoever from the Island Living pack and will be strictly base game. Now overall my goal is to keep the overall charm and essence of the original home, but of course everything will be base game, and I will allow myself to make changes if and when necessary. So taking a look at the lot itself, we are on a pretty nice waterfront property, and more or less this is a one-story build with a pretty interesting floor plan. We do have sort of a combined dining and living space here with a small kitchenette in the corner. We do have a small bathroom over here. We do have a sort of open air primary bedroom, which I think is a little bit odd. We do have two smaller bedrooms towards the back, which I do believe are children's rooms, and we do have another bathroom space here as well. So this is a complete look at the lot, and hopefully we will make this base game compatible in the end, and maybe even a little bit prettier too. Alright, so starting things off, I do want to change out the roof. Thankfully, we do have a lot of sheet metals, so I can use this option from base game. We do not, however, have this little tiny roof piece, which I could possibly recreate. I could try to use a small gabled roof, and hopefully, just hopefully, that could do the trick here. Alright, for some reason the roof is not placing. Am I missing something, you guys? It wants to go automatically to the first floor, which is quite odd. Alright, Sims 4, you're gonna be weird. Let me try and create a small room over here for now, and then I should now be able to add on that gabled roof. So let me put it on over here, and I'll stretch it back into place. Alright, and you were roughly in the center of the house and fairly small. I could do something a little bit larger like this if I wanted to, or if I wanted to stay true to the roof piece, it would be somewhat of this size. Alright, there we go, perfect. And let me go ahead and change out the roof trim. It is already base game, which is great, but let me see if there is a better color. Alright, this wonderful blue wood. We certainly don't have anything like this in base game, but I could try to find another wood swatch. Alright, we do have some options for wood. We could do something like this is not too bad, or even this one as well without any of the edge pieces. Ooh, we do have this, pinstripe grains. I think this is fairly close for now, so let me go ahead and give it a try. Alright, and for the roof, I'm thinking we could use possibly this option from base game. It does have some line work inside of it, and we can also go for an orange if we want to. So we could possibly do something like this. It's not really my favorite option though, because it doesn't really go with the build. So let me see if there is a better swatch available. Alright, maybe this tone. I think this is not too bad. It's not exactly like the Island Living wallpaper, but I think it's fairly close enough to capture that same essence. Alright, we can change out the door here, and it looks like this is the weird bathroom, which is very detached from the house. Okay, I can definitely see everybody's business here, so I think this door has to go. We can see if there is a better base game option, and hopefully go from there. Ooh, I kind of like this option. This could be a nice possibility. And if I wanted a little bit more privacy, I could also add in a small curtain here as well, or even a small blind just like this. Alright guys, unfortunately, we have to get rid of these lovely windows from the Island Living pack. They're probably one of my favorite build objects, but of course this is a bathroom, and I'm thinking if we want something a little bit more private, we could go with something like this, kind of a closed shutter moment, if you will. Alright, could I go for a lighter tone here, and maybe this one as well? I think that matches a little bit better with the roof pieces. Alright, these lovely windows also have to go, and I think possibly the best option may be this one from base game. We could put two of them together just like this. Alright, I think I do need some more browns again, so let me go ahead and change these out for a better swatch. And I think this will be more in line with the original house, hopefully. Alright, let me bring some of you guys over here just like this. Perfect. How am I liking this? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure, you guys. They're a little bit strange, I'm not gonna lie. But unfortunately, we just don't really have good options available. I could also do maybe something like this and go for this option instead. They're not really open air, but I think they're gonna have to do in a pinch. Alright, so this is what we're working with so far. What I actually want to do is add some kind of piece on top. I could use either this option from base game, or I could even use something like this as well. Alternatively, I can even use a base game shelf sized up, so that could give a little bit more decor to the window itself. All right, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And one over here like this. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. I could change the color palette of this build, but honestly, I think it's coming along okay so far. I'm trying to work with the blue that we have. If I did want to change the blue, that is another option. So let me see what we do have in base game and possibly go from there. Ooh, you know what? I actually do like this vinyl siding, so this could be a possibility. We also had this tone as well, which is a little bit more on the green side, which actually kind of fits the island theme. So let me give this a try and hopefully recolor some of these really strange wood tone choices. Alright, better yet, you guys, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to do this swatch instead. I do like the darker browns that we have here, and we can match the windows and doors a little bit more effectively. Alright guys, I think I actually found a really good wallpaper match. I do have this option from base game, which I think is fairly close to the original design, so I'm going to try and honor it. I do like the distressed quality it has, and it may be a little bit of a bold choice, but I think it is fairly close to what we had originally. Alright, unfortunately this lovely wood tone has to go, but we could use an option from base game instead, and definitely something aged would do the trick here. So we could do something like this. This is not too bad. Probably going to go for a darker wood just like this, and I do believe this will do the trick. I'm also going to make the roof trims brown once more, and I think this will homogenize the build a little bit more effectively, so something like this should be fairly decent. I do believe this stilts our base game, which is perfect. I only have one from Snowy Escape, so we are good to go there. But we do have to change out the stairs as well, so let me see if there is a better option. And maybe something like this. This is not too bad. Honestly, I'm not too big on the 2 tiles here, so I will just bump it in like this, and we should be all set. Alright guys, it is a sad moment. We unfortunately do not have boats like these in the Sims 4 base game, so we must say goodbye to them for now. We do have to delete this ladder over here from Island Living, and also the fire pit, just like this. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of windows to delete, so let me go ahead and replace these just like this, and of course, pulling from base game once more. I think for this door, I can probably find a better option. We can get away with a little bit less privacy in this area, so let me see what we do have available for base game, and hopefully find a better front door. Ooh, better yet, I actually like this door better for the front entrance. So let me use this instead and hopefully find the right wood tone, which is roughly this one? It's kind of close or close enough. The archways are going to be hard to recreate, so I could use something like this and do these back to back like so, and hopefully find some kind of debug object for the railing, which I'm honestly not too sure how I'm going to do. Ooh, I do have this piece. This could actually do the trick here, so I could put maybe 3 of these across and then also match the wood tones, and I think that is the closest thing we can get over here. Alright guys, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of this window choice. I will delete it for now and bring back these lovely shuttered options from base game. Alright, same thing for you over here. Let me bring these on over just like this. Alright, we do say goodbye to these arches once more, and we bring back more lovely base game. Alright, we do have this archway situation, which unfortunately, we have nothing like this in base game, so I will have to say goodbye to it, and maybe just delete a few of these walls like this, and use some base game columns instead, so hopefully that will be close enough. Alright, it is slim pickings in the base game, but I think this option is fairly decent, so let me go ahead and use this for now. Alright, I'm going to try and make this archway look a little better, so let me size up this base game shelf like this, and hopefully find a decent matching wood tone. So I think something like this could do the trick. Alright, say goodbye to these once more, and hello, more lovely base game archways. I will also change out the door over here, and I will bring back this option from the other side of the house, which unfortunately is not a perfect match in terms of wood tones, but I think it is fairly close enough. Unfortunately, it is time to delete a bunch of objects. We do have all of these wonderful pieces from the Island Living pack that can no longer be with us, so say goodbye to them, but we will replace them momentarily. Funny enough, I don't really mind this potted plant over here. I'm just going to change the color of the pot itself, and I will also delete this little accent table over here. Now, in place of the scuba equipment, I think we could actually do a woodworking station, which could be pretty cool. So I will use this option from base game, and I think I will recolor the wood as well to a lighter swatch. Now, honestly, if I do want to replace the shelf unit itself, we do have this industrial option from base game. And if I use something like this, this could potentially do the trick here as sort of a tool shed, if you will. Finishing off this space, I'm going to use one of my favorite objects, and it is this option from base game. It's kind of a set of sketches, if you will, so perhaps if there is somebody wood carving here, this could be some of their ideas, possible ideas for sculptures, furniture. I'll let you guys use your imagination with that. Alright, I think this is looking fairly decent so far. The next thing I want to do is actually add in some base game planter boxes. So obviously these were not part of the original build, but I think it'll make the build look a little bit more attractive with some more foliage. So I could do something like this. It does have a matching brown tone. Well, matching in terms of EA sense, I'll leave it at that. Ooh, I do like this option. I like the emerald green on the planter box and those nice pops of white on the daisies. So let me go ahead and do this. I'll add a few on the lot itself. I'm going to scooch you out of the way just a little bit so we have more room for the flowers. Perfect. Now, I do know we also had some kind of outdoor dining space here. So we could do either this round table like this and possibly go this direction, or we could just do a simpler table outside. So let me see if there is a better option. I think I will go with something like this. We can find a somewhat matching wood tone, perhaps something in this territory. And for the chairs, I would like something with bright yellow cushions if possible. So let me see if there is something available. All right, I'm thinking this option. We could do something like this. I think this works fairly well. All right, you know what? This is actually a pretty fun build. I'm gonna see if I can alternate the colors ever so slightly. So I think it'll make the dining situation a little bit more fun. All right, and for the barbecue, it's kind of sitting in a weird spot. It's kind of on the edge of the lot, which is a little concerning. So I may actually bring it in and put it next to the kitchen area. So let me go ahead and select it. And I think we will go for this option instead, which is a little bit more fun. It does match more of the colorful motif of this home. So let me go ahead and do that. Now for the kitchen situation, I'm not going to have any more objects outside. I think it is a little bit bizarre, so I will try to make a kitchen within the home itself. So we did have a few objects over here, which is not too bad. And I'm thinking they could possibly go along this wall. I may have to see how I can reorganize this space. All right, first off, I do want to update the flooring. It is already base game, but I'm not really too keen on this option. So I do want to see if there is something with a little bit more texture, maybe something like this. The wallpaper everywhere has to go, unfortunately, so we do have to find a better option. The closest thing that we have, I think, yet again, is this option, which we did try on the roofs. We could try another swatch like this, and this could potentially do the trick. All right, let me go ahead and copy it over in all the rooms, and I think we should be all set here. Unfortunately, this lovely plant has to go, but I will use this option from the outside and bring it on in just like this. The hamper is a little bit out of place, so I will get rid of this. I will get rid of this object over here, and also this accent table or dresser from the Island Living pack. All right, for the accent table, let me see what we do have available here. I'm kind of wondering why it was outside. It looks like we don't really have room in the bedroom itself, so that may explain it. So if not, it can be a dresser. And if we look through the options we have, I think we do have some that could fit the vibe here. All right, let's do this option just like this and go for a matching wood tone. Ooh, I kind of like how the gold or brass matches the painting. That was a really cool moment. I'm going to move over the hutch ever so slightly, but I do want to keep it as well, and hopefully find something to put on the table instead. Ooh, there is the hand sculpture, which I do love, and I think it's in here somewhere. Aha, here you are, perfect. All right, so unfortunately, we do not have colorful rugs like this in base game, so I will delete this, but I will use something of this variety instead. I think I will use 2 of these rugs because they are pretty small, but when sized up, they are way too big for this space. But I think if I can put them side by side, I can create the illusion that they are joined together. So let me do something like this. All right, guys, we must say goodbye to more lovely furniture from the Island Living pack. So here we go. Say goodbye to this and this. I think the best thing we have in base game is probably this option. This is fairly close to the overall aesthetic. It's fairly simple. We do have something like this as well if we do want some more pops of color. It is smaller though, but I think it could also do the trick here. Ooh, we do have this option as well, which I think I do like. Let me go ahead and try this out. And I do want to find either a smaller end table here or maybe even a single seater option, like some sort of armchair could do the trick. All right, I can go for the matching set like this, which I feel is okay. Not really the best option in my opinion, but I think it's fairly close enough. Ooh, we do have 2 dining situations, which makes me rethink my choices. Obviously, all of this has to go. We can keep this option for the child, but this has to be deleted, and maybe, just maybe, we could change this up just a little bit. I think there are a total of 4 Sims living here, so I could bring this back out over here and replace this chair like so, and I think that should be all set. Ooh, better yet, I do want to update the wallpaper, and I'm going to use this swatch instead. The darker wood tone is just a little bit more homogeneous with the archways and windows and doors, so let me go ahead and update this accordingly. Alright, say goodbye to the chandelier, and hopefully there is a better option in base game. Honestly, we don't really have anything like it in base game, which is kind of sad. But I'm thinking we could do this option and maybe use this instead, just like that. I'm also going to find a coffee table in place of the original dining table, and I think this circular option is absolutely perfect. So I'll place it here. I will probably also add in a few more chairs on this side, and I think it'll make the space a little bit more cozy as well. Also going to use 2 little accent tables of some kind, just something to put lamps on or books. I think that would look fairly nice. Ooh, this is an opportunity for more plants. Yes, it is. We do have some fairly decent options in base game, surprisingly. And if we are going for a more tropical look, let us see what we have available. All right, I think this is looking a lot better now. The last thing I want to add to this room is a little bit of musical equipment, so we can bring something like this into the room, and obviously size it down ever so slightly. So at least we'll have some nice tunes here while we lounge out by the beach. Now, surprisingly, you guys, we can actually keep the open air concept of the bedroom. Albeit, it is a little bit weird, but we can recreate it if we are keeping the spirit of the build itself. So we can bring some of these archways in and roughly recreate what was here originally. All right, all of these curtains have to go. And of course, I do have to fix the wallpaper over here. And I think we may have some options in terms of curtains that could still work. We could do something like this. This is not too bad. It does come on a little bit of a railing, but it does provide more privacy than the original option. So there is this. Let me go ahead and add some to the sides as well. All right, you know the drill. We're clearing out all of these lovely island living objects, but we will spruce up this space accordingly. And in terms of a bed, I do have a possibility in mind. It is, of course, in base game, and I think it will be potentially... Where is it? It's not here. Where is this bed? Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. It is in here somewhere. Here it is. Perfect. I'm going to use this option. It does have a wood swatch, which I think will work fairly well. And let me see what works best. Probably this one. This one works great. I will find a new rug. All right, I think I will try this option from base game. It's a little bit more abstract, but sized down, I think it works fairly well. And let me see if I can go maybe a little bit lighter on the palette itself. Ooh, something about this blue is speaking to me, you guys. It's those deep, rich navy tones, so I think I will try it out. I will bring back the nightstands as well, but of course finding a more suitable option moving forward. All right, and for table lamps, let me see what we do have available here. I think there was some kind of little tiny lantern originally. We do have these candles though, which I do love, so let me go ahead and use these instead, and I will also recolor them accordingly. Alright, it may be a weird choice, but for some reason these little fox or wolf lamps are calling my name. They somehow fit the aesthetic fairly well, so I do want to keep them there. Honestly, I do like this piece of wall art as well. I'm just going to lower it slightly more, and I think I will change out the swatch. But other than that, we should be good to go with this bedroom space. Alright, so we return to the very dreadful kitchen situation, which I think I have an idea on how to resolve. What I'm actually going to do is shrink this bathroom ever so slightly. So we'll cut into it just like this. I'm thinking we can do possibly a walk-in shower instead and save us more space that way. So I'll put the shower here and the rest of the bathroom can go like so. All right, let's delete these walls like this. I think there is a wall sconce there, so I'll get rid of this as well. All right, so let us see what we have to work with here. We can't have any more of these counters, so these need to go. But let me see if there is one from base game that could do the trick. We could go more industrial. This is actually not too bad of an option. And we do have a lovely matching brown tone as well. So that's really cool. I'll put you guys over here. I'll put the fridge along this wall like this. Okay, it looks like we have a counter to prep food on. I'll probably put the oven maybe over here in this area. And I'll also put a kitchen sink over on this side. So I think this option is fine for now. There you go, perfect. And for the oven, I think we can go a little bit newer. So I think something like this is not too bad, or maybe even this option as well. All right, unfortunately, we have some weird clipping action over here. In game, this would be fine, but it's not really logical to have counters built into an open archway. So I'm going to be a little bit more realistic and delete them just like this. But I will use a base game object instead and place a window probably around this area just like so. That way you can still have a lovely view outside while you are using the stove or washing the dishes. Ooh, better yet, I can actually create more space in this kitchen by deleting that archway. I can move this over here and then add another counter space over on this side, just like this. And then we should also have room for a trash can over in this corner. And with that, I think we have all of the essential objects in place. All right, I think these appliances are a little bit too dark for my taste now, so I will use some stainless steel variants instead, and I think this should do the trick here. All right, I think this is looking a little bit more functional. I'm going to bring in another window over here like this, and we will have a full view outside. Honestly, I do think we have room for some cabinets, so let me go ahead and find the matching option, and I definitely want to make sure the wood tone is the same as well. All right, lucky number 7 it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Put you about here, and probably a nice corner piece just like this. Ooh, better yet, I can't fit this shelf back in place. So let me go ahead and move it over just like this. And I think this will be a nice replacement for the original cabinet I had. Plus, we can keep all of the original objects, which is pretty cool. Ooh, we did have some kind of little utensil holder over here. So let me go ahead and find that option. I do believe it was this one. So I'll put it back in place just like this. All right, we now move on to the infamous bathroom situation. But first, we do need to update our doors because these doors, guys, they're just not working. They make no sense with this build whatsoever. So let me see if there is a better option available in the base game. Honestly, you guys, I'm not really a fan of the base game doors, but I think this option is fairly decent for now. I will replace them all throughout the house, and we will give ourselves a new entrance to the bathroom as well. Once more, say goodbye to more lovely island living objects, and hello, base game. If there is something that matches, I'm not seeing it just yet. Alright, I rarely use this option, but I think this is the best fit for now. It does have some of the same coloration as the ceiling light, so let me go ahead and use this. Alright, let's light up the bathroom just like this. I'll put one over here as well. Let me see what we do have for mirrors. I don't personally mind this thing, surprisingly enough, so I do think it is fine staying there for now. Ooh, better yet, the door should probably go over on this side, so let me put it over here. I will put the sink over on this side. I'll move the mirror over here, the light over here as well, and the toilet and toilet paper will go over on this side. I think that's a little bit more effective in terms of a layout. All right, for the walk-in shower, let us see what we have available. I know that there are quite a few good options in base game, so one of these should suffice. I do want to see if I can possibly add in another window over here. I could bring back this guy just like this, and then possibly add in some kind of blind or curtain on top. Now I do want to see if we can add some tile to this space because we literally have wood paneling everywhere, and if there was a good place for tile, it would more than likely be the bathroom. So let me see if there is a better option. Funny enough, this option is actually not too bad. It does carry on that cream sort of light beige tone along with a dark chocolatey brown. And I do believe we also have a matching tile for it for the floor. So let me go ahead and do that. And I think we should be all set in this space. All right, we now move on to the children's bedrooms. And fortunately, I think most of these objects are already base game, but let me see if we can design them slightly more effectively. I do want to make them a little bit less kid-like, perhaps, probably a little bit more in the style of the rest of the house. So let me see if there are better options available. I do like this option for a toddler bed. It does have a nice wood tone to work with. And I do want to see if we can get a nicer mat for this room, because I don't believe we had a rug in here originally. Ooh, honestly, there are a lot of really sweet options in here. So I am partial to using one of these. The watermelon rug is kind of fun. I would never think to use that. Ooh, we do have this option as well, which is fairly close to the original color scheme, just more of a muted down pink, if you will. So this could be an option. Let me see if I can recolor this to something a little bit more suitable. We can certainly add in some nice curtains as well, and I'm thinking these options could do the trick. So I'll put one over here and another one over here by this window. All right, the room is a little bit sparse, I will admit it, but I do want to add in some kind of stuffed animal for this child. So let me see what we do have available. We do have a lot of really fun options here, which is absolutely perfect. But for some reason, you guys, I think I'm partial maybe to the unicorn this time around. I'll put him in the corner like this. And I do want to get a smaller armchair for the child in this room. We probably will need some kind of reading light for this chair, and I'll probably get one from base game once more. Ooh, you know what? We do need a bookshelf moment over here, so let me go ahead and move this guy. I'll probably put him roughly along the window just like this, and then a smaller children's bookcase over in this area. So we do have a wall option like this. But I do like the ones that do come with base game, so I think this will do the trick here. Alright guys, on second thought, I'm going to simplify this room just a little bit more. I don't want it to be too extravagant in comparison to the parents' room, so I think this amount of furniture is absolutely fine. I'll just go ahead and move over the bare armchair just like this, and I think we should be all set in this space. Alright, this room looks more so like that of a teenager, I think. So let me go ahead and delete these lights. We no longer need them. The bed unfortunately has to go as well. But I will get a new bed and also a new rug, just like the other bedroom. Probably going to use this option just to match it and hopefully find a better swatch. Honestly, you guys, I have no idea who lives in this house, but the original swatch was a little bit darker, so I'll probably go ahead and use this option. The backpack can actually stay. It does match the color of the bed itself, and interestingly enough, it does have a skull and crossbones. So maybe this room is a little bit edgier. I'm getting rebellious teen vibes, perhaps. Let me see if there is a rug that will match. Ooh, we could do something kind of cool like this. That could be pretty fitting for the room. Or even something with more of a painterly swatch just like this. That could be pretty nice. I'm thinking if they are a teen, I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing a lot of homework in either middle school or high school. So maybe a desk over here, just something simple with books. I think that could do the trick. All right, office space, here we come. And I'm thinking something along these lines, just like this. Let's go darker on the wood. All right, let me get a simple chair for this area. Probably will use maybe something like this, and then find some nice books to put on top. Ooh, better yet, you guys, I'm kind of getting the vibe that this teen is secretly a really good artist. So perhaps they like sketching, they like working with charcoal. So I'll put these figure drawings over here just like this, and I think this is fairly sufficient for their space. Ooh, I almost forgot some curtains though. Teenagers do like their privacy, so I'll put a few of these over here like this, kind of mirroring the other room. We will go probably darker on these, so I'm thinking perhaps more of a gray tone, roughly matching the bed itself. And I think we should be all set. All right, we now end with this very strange bathroom, which honestly, I don't think anybody is going to use. It could be used almost like an outdoor shower, but I just don't really see the point of it anymore. So I think I will delete this. I could make this into some kind of outdoor shed. So let me see if I can make that happen. I'm going to use a slightly more industrial light for this space. And I think I will use a wall sconce instead. Probably something along these lines, just so that we have a little bit of light in this room. Also going to bring back these wood panels just like this. I will change out this wallpaper as well, probably to another wood swatch. Obviously, we don't really have too much to work with in base game, but I think something like this could do the trick. Kind of like a more basement attic-like space, if you will, so it's not really properly finished. Honestly, you guys, I'm not really too sure what I want to put in here. I could do a shelving situation like this, although it does glitch into the windows ever so slightly, so I'm not really too sure what to do. Can I move you guys over ever so slightly, perhaps? Maybe along these lines over here? All right, let me try this again. Size you up like this. Perfect. All right, let me move you over here like this. And we should now have clearance for the shelf. I'm going to use this object once more. Sized up. Perfect. And I do want to see if there is a certain object that I can find. It's kind of like a collection of barrels with fruit. And surprisingly, if you put barrel in the game, it does not pop up. It makes no sense. So it is in here somewhere. I think it is in the sculpture section. Ooh, we do have this lovely pergola, which I do want to use. I can actually put it over here towards this area of the dock. Let me see if there is a better wood tone that matches. Yes, perfect. And then I could probably slide in this whole dining unit underneath this area just like so. I think that will be pretty nice. All right, anyways, I do have to find these barrels, which are in here somewhere. I'm probably looking in the wrong section though, so let me see. All right, guys, I still cannot find these barrels. I think they're in here somewhere, and yes, perfect, there they are. I'm going to size them up like this, and maybe lift up this shelf just like that. All right, we just need a few boxes of good old junk, and I think we should be all set. Just something to clutter the space and make this really feel like some kind of storage area. All right, and for the final touch, I do want to add in a little bit of plant life on this lot. Unfortunately, we only have base game to work with, but hopefully we can make this look somewhat tropical. I'm going to start off by bringing in some of these palm trees from base game. They don't really fit perfectly with the world, but I think if I scatter a few of them around, it'll make it look a little bit more intentional. All right, there we go, just like that. And I think what I'll do next is find a few sort of shrub or flowery-like objects that I can put beneath these trees. So normally my go-to option would probably be something like this. It really fills in the space very nicely, especially when sized up. All right, some of you guys over here, just like this. Perfect. Ooh, we do have some smaller palm plants. These actually do work perfectly. They're very tropical. They do blend in with Sulani, so I think this will help a lot. Can we add in some nice flowers? I sure hope we can. Let me filter through base game and see what we have available. Ooh, I do love this option. I like how the flowers are very sprig-like. They're kind of small and sparse, but they can just add a nice little pop around the edges. Ooh, better yet, this pink is wonderful. I love that tone. It is absolutely perfect. I'm going to use this base game texture and create a little bit of an implied walkway here. So we don't have true cobblestones or gravel per se, but it's just enough to imply perhaps footprints or shoe prints in the sand. Alright guys, we are officially done with the base game compatible renovation, and to be honest, I'm really happy with how this came out. I think overall the integrity of the house is still intact. We do have the same layout. I did keep the roof structure. I tried to keep most of that open air concept, if you will, even though the base game objects are not a perfect match, but I do also enjoy that nice pop of blue on the wood as well. Of course, there were a lot of additions. I did create a lot of landscaping here with the palm trees, lots of various bits of foliage, and we do have a lovely pergola out here as well for our outdoor dining set. Moving into the build itself, this central area was quite a bit of work. It was sort of a combined kitchen slash dining room slash living room, but obviously I omitted the dining room furniture, and we do have a nice sitting area for our living room instead. I did keep some of the objects along the wall as well, but of course the major renovation was probably the kitchen, which did have this weird kind of inside-outside combination. So we do have a much more refined kitchenette over here, and also a completely overhauled bathroom, so it's a little bit more cramped, if you will, but we still have a shower, toilet, and sink, all of your necessities over there. Moving on into the bedroom spaces, we did have this very weird open air concept for the primary bedroom, which I did my best to recreate using base game arches and also curtains for more privacy. The room is fairly similar to what it started as, just with a more modern look. We did also move on into the toddler space, which was quite empty, but I did try to keep the general theme intact, adding in more objects with the rug, the dresser, and the bookcase, just to name a few. The same goes for the teens bedroom as well, trying to take inspiration from that very dark palette on the bed and also the backpack. So a really cool sort of muted brown and slate blue color scheme. I imagine the teen was a little bit more artistic, so I did imply that with the desk and also the drawings here as well. Of course, there was one weird room left, and it was kind of this lonely shower situation, which I actually converted into sort of an outdoor shed, if you will, so I did create the space to reflect just that. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this challenge, and of course, just like always, please feel free to let me know how I did in the comments below. Do you like how the build turned out? Could I have done things better? Or would you like to take on this challenge yourself? On that note, I'll catch you all in the next build challenge, and of course, just like always, this has been 𝗪𝗓𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡 signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys.